even a 50% rate of return, there is no tax because India abolished long-term capital gains tax in the 2003-4 budget. So it's like having a small tax haven. Even in America, if you have capital gains, you have to pay a 50% tax. Whereas here, you're ending up with a situation where you pay 0% so long as you make that profit after holding on for 365 days. So there is that direct profit you can make, and of course, it also gives you access to be able to buy into huge resources in what is still a resource-rich country. So that you can then choose to get your profits tomorrow instead of taking it today by coming in, seizing the assets, and then encashing this or capitalizing this over time. There's one question which I must say that neither am I the most competent person, nor do I have the time to really go into it, but it is, what is the utmost impact of this pseudo-triumph on the environment? Where does the sustainability stand, and what kind of danger does it stand? I mean, we know, there's no question about it. This is not now anymore a debate between those of us who value our environment and hate what capitalism does and the government. It is a debate within government. That we know that the Prime Minister's office has created a special investment board to give quick clearances because the Environment Ministry, it claimed, was sitting on applications asking for environmental clearances, not granting, setting up no entry zones. So first they got rid of Jairam Ramesh, who's no raving radical, but even what he was saying was not acceptable. Now they're not unhappy even with Jayanti Natarajan, and they've decided therefore to have a way of trying to sort of circumvent even the minimal sort of environmental sort of regulations we have. So is it dangerous? Of course it is. It's environmentally unsound, and particularly because of the fact that a large part of our coal reserves, for example, or iron ore reserves lie in the forest. So you're going to end up with a situation where you're likely to sacrifice that to pay off capital. But finally, even sustainability is something which is seized by capital. I mean, look at the carbon trading market. The carbon trading market is a market of speculators. You try and get carbon credits by getting developing countries to do certain things, and then you put it up in a market to try and sell it to countries which want to use those credits in order to be able to engage in larger emissions. So even that gets seized by capital at some stage. Last question. You have complained, somehow captured, that the social cleavage has been increasing in India, but we don't understand why these miseries do not converge in an aggressive upsurge of the Indian masses. What are the factors hampering them from revolting against the new order? This should have been asked when Comrade Karat was here. But let me put it this way. Who expected? We don't know when years of deprivation and enhanced deprivation results finally in an upsurge. But we do know that it does. It does in all sorts of contexts. Who expected what happened in Egypt to have happened? Egypt was a country which, along with India, at the time of the decolonization after the Second World War, was seen as one of the forefront in building a new third world. And then it fell off the map, till suddenly, one day, we find Egypt becomes who thought that the other countries in the Middle, the West Asian region would see what they saw? Who thought that the Occupy movement would occur, even if it is now dissipated to a certain extent? So I don't think there is any, one can't sit and predict when it will happen. That it will happen, I think is now quite clear. The problem is not whether there will be an upsurge of the masses at one point of time. The problem would be whether we can actually have forces which mobilize that energy and move it in the direction of giving us an alternative, or whether, as is happening in some contexts, that gets seized by fundamentalists, by whatever be the forces involved. And therefore, the promise it has at the beginning somehow then becomes, it's reverse. It actually becomes the basis for the emergence of very dangerous forces. We'll have to wait and see, for example, what happens in Turkey next. Who thought we're going to have what we're having now in Turkey? Thank you.